What's going on, everybody? It is mod day, and that is what we are playing with today. So as you can kind of see, I've already given this a shot here. I've just been trying to decide where I'm going to mount the SPod source. And after looking around through the old engine bay, yeah, I know my engine bay is dirty. I gotta give it a good once over. Once kind of looking at the length that comes with and the amount of space that you have to deal with in a Nissan Frontier, I decided that the only logical place to put this is going to be right here. So this is just to the right hand side of your junction box and your ECU, where that's stored. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go jump in our junk bin, our metal junk bin, and see if I can't find something to make a bracket out of, something that I can repurpose a bracket. Now the bracket's going to have to go against the firewall, so the wiring harness is going to have to get either tucked down or brought over, maybe, depending on where I'm gonna have to make these connection points to the firewall. But essentially what's going to happen is that the backing plate of the bracket is going to have a bit of an angle, so it follows the firewall, so it kind of goes down like this, and then the plate's going to have to come out here, and then the SPod's going to sit on the plate right here. So I'm going to go jump in the bin and see what I can find and repurpose and hack up and make it look good. All right, guys, back from the bin, and I did some cutting and some modding, and this is what we're going to be dealing with here. So this is going to be the bracket that we're going to utilize and put into the Frontier. And essentially, it's going to sit in there like that. And it's going to get bolted to the firewall. It's going to sit down about there so that the bonnet isn't going to touch it. And then we're going to drill the holes. Actually, maybe I'm just, yeah. So it's going to sit right there, right up against the firewall. And we're going to mark out where the holes are going to go for the source. And we're going to mount this. We're going to drill the holes for the source. Then we're going to mount this to the firewall. We're going to tuck that wiring harness somewhere out of the way. Probably down on so that it's going to come up and then follow the body line that way. I still need to be able to access this box, which I can still get my hand down in here and undo this clip, and the box should be able to come up no problem. And all this wire, so these are like light wires, right? So this is the wire that's going to eventually run right to here. And then on the pod, or on the source, you just have a positive and a negative. So one, that's going to clean up this whole mess here. And it's just going to be a positive and a negative getting attached, and then everything's going to run into there instead of all these wires coming off here and running into the cab. And I'll show you what I got right now for switches. So I like clean lines, as you guys know. So what I did originally is I just went underneath the kick panel here, and I installed 2 toggle switches here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get another toggle switch that looks like this, because it's a lot lower profile, and I'm just going to replace this one with it, and then they're going to be dead switches, just because I don't want to leave holes sitting there. So there'll just be some switches there. They won't be attached to anything. And then what I believe is going to happen is the SPod's going to go right along here. So I'm going to make a bracket coming out here and a bracket coming out here, and the SPod switch bay is just going to sit right there. That means I don't have to cut anything into the truck, into the dash, into the sides, or anything like that. So yeah, should be pretty decent. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to go get that stuff set up. There you go. just like that. All right, guys, so this took way longer than I'd like to admit. As you can see, I had some issues with figuring out how to mount this, mainly because what I ended up doing is I put a C-channel, a piece of C-channel cut off behind the bracket. One, so that the factory wiring harness kind of stays where it's supposed to. And two, I needed to bring the bracket out a little bit in order for it to clear the back of the firewall. Also, I used a nut and bolt with washers behind it, and I had to take the valence off of the front end to get the nut and the washer behind it, because this metal is very thin and you're not going to be able to use any sort of self-tapping screw or anything. So I installed the the channel, the aluminum channel, just a cut-off piece from the cut-off bin. Cut it down a little shorter, and then bolted that to the firewall. Drilled the holes for the bracket. But then I was thinking, you know, I might be able to self-tap through. So I self-tapped it in place and then realized that it was sticking out too far, and the wiring harness was sitting on top of a screw, and I didn't want it to basically cut into any of my wires or anything like that. So we basically just installed 2 bolts, one here, and that's going to make it sturdy enough to install the source. So I'm going to install the source right now, and then I'm going to call it a night because this took way too long than I wanted it to, and I am hungry, so yeah. Alright guys, I kind of got to be quick here because I'm running out of juice, but there it is. That is the SPod source box installed in a Nissan Frontier. I think it might be the first one I've seen on a Nissan Frontier yet, actually. This was a bitch to install. I'm not going to lie to you. We don't have a lot of room under our hood, and unless you do some locates and some really long arm fancy bracket work, I just didn't think there was any other better place to put it. This way, it also sits right by all the electrical, right? So it's all in the same place. These don't have far to go. These are the positive and the negatives, right? But pretty sturdy. It's not going anywhere. So pretty stoked about it. Hey everybody, day 2. So we're back at it. We're going to finish the SPod install today on the Frontier. I'll show you what we're working with here. Alright, so I've taken off the cover. If you're wondering how this kind of works, I'll kind of give you the quick and dirty here. So all of your positives and negatives are going to come through the bottom right here, this little channel, and then you attach them to your 6 attach points here. There's actually 12 here, but a positive and a negative, so 2. And then those are operated through these relays, which all have backup fuses behind them. For one, just not to damage any of the electrical components on the output side of your device. Yeah, so when I got this truck, somebody had looked like it was an old subwoofer or some sort of bangarang music going on in there, and they ran the remote wire through that boot. You can't really see it because there's a boot down in there. So I pushed it through there, and then I'm going to run it into the cab, and then I'm just going to run it along this wiring harness loom, and then push that back up against the firewall. But right now what I'm working on is I need to get this bolt and the nut behind it snugged up, because I thought I had it snug last night and I do not. So snug it up so that it matches that guy, and then we should be good to go. And then we just mount this bad boy back on there, connect the battery once everything's wired to it, and then I got to start snipping the lights and the lengths off of my old wires for my switch. That's the amount of wire harness that I no longer need. All those ugly connectors for your relays and your inline fuses, and garbage. Oh, this is the bus for all the switches. So I know from just watching some YouTube videos that I can go online and just switch these rockers out with whatever rocker I actually want to put in there. So I'll probably end up getting the labeled ones, but for now, I'm really looking forward to seeing how this looks. We're gonna work on this next, but first we're gonna get this engine bay all sorted out, and then we'll move into the cab and we'll start working on where we're gonna put that, because after looking at this bus a little bit more, I thought there were side mounting points on the ends here so that I could have added it to a bracket, but it looks like this particular model is designed specifically to install somewhere to cut out. So I'm wondering where that's going to be. All right, another pretty well a full wiring harness no longer needing. So all that crap is no longer having to get run into the nooks and crannies and in the engine bay. So, and as you can see, I've cleaned up a lot of the positives, and where the grounds used to sit I've removed as well. I should probably put that fender washer back in there, otherwise I will never find it again. Come on, there you go. Just get her started. Finger tight bye. Alright, so the next step is to connect these. So that's what we shall do. Again, we're going to shorten these up, but we're going to shorten them up right now, and then we're going to connect them. Alright, frickety folks. So this is where we're at. Got the ditch lights wired, and we got the light bar wired, and I just function tested it. You know, Greg Hackman's probably just swearing at me right now because my dinger's been going off this entire time, and I could have just taken my keys out. So here's the switch relay, and as you can see, when we put one on, little LED lights up, and it's fairly bright actually, so I'm pretty impressed with it so far. But here we go. So this is our light bar, and then ditch lights, and yeah, pretty slick little system, this SPod. So now we get to figure out where we want to put this bad boy, and we're gonna have to get creative. So you're probably gonna see me again pretty quickly. So okay, I've been trying to decide where I want to put this, and where I really want to put it is right here on a little bracket that just comes up, but I can't get anything in there that's small enough to attach it. So for now, I put it right here, and I've made a very crude bracket that is already broken because I cut it too thin. But a very crude bracket here, which I'll redo at a later date when I have some better tools for doing this kind of stuff. But yeah, so far that's where it is. So that's the ditch lights, and these are the ditch lights. These are the LED light bar. And then this one's going to be the winch, whatever the heck this one's going to be, yada yada, etc, etc, etc. Yeah, so that's where it's sitting right now. And for those looking and wondering, when you're sitting in it, you're not really that close to it. I mean, you will rest your leg against it, I guess. So if maybe not. I guess that depends on how you drive. It's definitely in the way, so it's not staying where it is right now. But yeah, so far that's our new switches. So now these guys are just dead, so I'll pull these out and put decorative or push pins in here just so that it looks fairly stock. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you guys have a good weekend. I'm going to pack up here and yeah, head home, have a shower, trim my beard, eat some food, have a good time. Peace.